interview number 3 with Toni. She's going to tell us about some of the famous and infamous people she was locked up with. Let's start with Aileen Wuornos, I think her name is,
Aileen
correct?
Wuornos, yeah.
Wuornos,
yeah. I don't remember how to pronounce it correctly. But I was in Broward, BCI down south.
Broward County, Broward Correctional Institute?
The Correctional Institute, the prison. I was the only female in the electrical crew. And so whenever they would write a work order, you had 48 hours for it to answer. So I was always going to her cell. Now, mind you,
she was a serial killer, right?
Yeah, she was a serial killer.
She walked the streets in Daytona Beach area killing people.
No, she didn't walk the streets killing people.
Tell us about what she did and how well you knew her.
I didn't know her well, but I've spoken to her. Like, you're not allowed to speak to them, but there was conversations that took place. She is not crazy, first and foremost, okay? When you're on the streets prostituting, people think that they can do whatever they want to us just because we're out there doing what we're doing. And men are very, very, very cruel and very violent and abusive. And I can totally understand where she's coming from, where you want to turn around and do the same thing back to them, you know? She was repeatedly abused. She, guns held to her hand, sodomized, the whole thing. And when you snap, when you've had enough, in my opinion, she paid back the ones that hurt her. And it was not that it's right, and I'm not saying it's wrong. It is what it is. But she did what she felt that she needed to do for retribution for what was done to her. There's a reverse control. There's a reverse power trip when you're prostituting. It's kind of like, haha, I got you now.
How many times did you interact with Miss Wuornos, the serial killer?
At least 10 minimum, maybe a little bit more. Like once every other month, I was going to her cell
to fix something electrical.
To fix something. Usually it was the television. She always said something was wrong with the television or the electrical switch, and there was nothing.
What stories? Can you remember a story she told you?
They weren't allowed to speak. So this isn't like I can't tell you like oh, we had this conversation, because then I would be lying about any stories she said. The stories that I can tell you came from the women who are no longer on death row that I was in prison with, that were lifers, like Deidre Hunt, which was.
What did Deidre Hunt do?
Deidre Hunt is the famous Foodatopolis, kind of like the Amy Fisher up in New York, where they went to kill the wife, and it botched. But she's part of the Killing Club, where Kevin Ramsey was tied to a tree, and she had an AK. She had I don't know if it was an AK-47, but it was an assault rifle, and she shot him. But Foodatopolis had a camera that was filming it, but he also had a gun to her head that nobody knows about, I've seen the scars on her chest where he used to put cigarettes out on her, Then I was, Deidre Hunt is a fabulous person. She really is.
What race is she?
She's white.
White lady?
Beautiful woman. Beautiful black hair, very like porcelain white skin. She's from up north.
How and why did she get started in prostitution that put her in the path of these abusers?
I would have to repick my mind, but she came down here as a runaway pretty much. She was like 17-ish when she came down here from like Maine or Massachusetts, one of those, Maryland, one of those M states up there she's from. But she started working for him at the arcade on the pier. And
pier where?
On the pier in Daytona, I apologize.
Gotcha.
And it just.
So Deidre was in Daytona too, the same as Aileen.
Yes.
What is it about that place that brings out this violence and prostitution and etc.?
There's a lot of violent people there that are. I did not like my prostitution years in Daytona. I was also a prostitute in Daytona. There was a lot of violence that happened to me in Daytona.
A lot of drug use in Daytona?
Oh, a lot of drug use. A lot of drugs. But I can't answer for her what made her do these things, but I know that it was a love affair. She was the mistress, so to speak, and he wanted his wife dead for some reason, and the botch, they shot Lisa, but she lived, okay? And then he had what he called the Killing Club. He gathered the runaways, the teenage misfits on the pier that would hang out doing drugs and it was homeless and stuff. And he befriended them, and I guess through them, basically, he lived out his sick fantasies by having them do the things that he didn't have the balls to do, so to speak. I was in prison also with Lisa Conley, and she's from the movie Bully. She is now out.
You keep in touch with her?
Yeah, through Facebook. We talk all the time. All the time. I also was in prison with Casey Dudley. We call her Death Row Dudley. She's a lifer now. It's really weird because like when you're out, these women are, and you're watching television on like Almost Got Away with Murder, women on death row, and and like here's these women that I spent all these years in prison with, and because I was new and I was a newbie, a baby in prison, they had been there for so long, they were grounded, and they taught me how to like they taught me how to live life in there without feeling as if I was incarcerated. I have to go, sir. I apologize.
Have a nice night. Thank you.
Thank you.